It's my honor to welcome everyone here to the 2024 Community Outlook Breakfast. So a little over a month ago, I walked into Mayor Barnett's office and said, I have an idea. And if any of you know, number one, I'm a huge fan of Disney, but Willy Wonka is my second favorite. So as in the past, it has become a tradition of this event to have a short video featuring our community leaders with a short message. And this one is nothing less than awesome. So enjoy.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is the sign of our times, the symbol of the havoc, the mad craze that's sweeping the world today. Whatever corner of the globe we are in, whichever of the 5 continents we are on, the great search for Wonka bars continues.
It's just one chocolate bar. I mean, anybody can find it, right? Why can't it be me? Hey, sir, I'd like to buy a Wonka bar if I could. I want to find that last golden ticket.
Well, I'm happy to sell you the last Wonka bar, but the golden ticket has already been found.
No, well, I didn't hear. Oh.
Wait. Didn't you hear the latest news?
This just in from the Rochester Hills Television News Desk. We have received word that the winner of the 5th golden ticket was in fact a fraud. That means there's still hope for one lucky person out there.
So there's one more golden ticket. Here goes nothing. I've got a golden ticket! Yes.
I'm waiting, and you'll be in a world of your imagination. Hey, brother, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will define the nation.
Whoa! This is totally the wrong way.
All right, everybody, thanks for coming on such short notice. We got great news. The city of Rochester won the golden ticket, and we have a chance to be crowned Chocolate City of the World. We have the opportunity to make our city rich and famous. We can be Rochester, Chocolate City. So it's up to us. We need bold ideas. We need leadership. Let's start with the DPW. Alec, what do you have for us?
Let's pave the streets with chocolate.
That is a good idea, but you know what? Our roads are so good, we don't need to make any changes. What else do you have for us?
How about instead of salting the roads in bad weather, we coat the roads with milk chocolate kisses? It's good for the environment, too.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Deep thinking.
Deep thinking. That is a great idea. You know, salt, that's so yesterday anyway. Come on.
I do have one question. What are we going to do with all the extra salt?
That's a really good question. Hey, how about we dump it in Rochester Hills and Oakland Township? They'll never know the difference. Yeah. All right. What's next, Chief John? What can the fire department do to help make Rochester the great chocolate city?
Well, Mr. Mayor, instead of using water, we can use milk chocolate. Everyone knows it's a great fire retardant.
Oh, yeah. I like it. Chocolate is a great fire retardant? I'm just joking. I knew that. Of course it is. As I've always said, let's follow the science.
Our water usage and water bills are going to go way down as well.
And you know, we already have the greatest water rates in town. It'll be even lower now.
Perfect.
That's
excellent.
Great. And I love it. We can tell people this summer to water their lawns all they want. Forget about that rationing stuff. That was a bad idea anyway.
That never would have worked.
Anthony, what does the finance department have for us today?
You know, Mr. Mayor, after running all the numbers, we can collect taxes and chocolate candy bars. This will increase revenue so much that we're going to be able to cut taxes.
Whoa. I love it. We will call this the chocolate tax cut. Our taxes are low, the lowest in the area, but any tax cut is good. I could run for re-election as the chocolate tax cutting mayor.
I thought you said you were not running again.
Nick, don't worry. I always say I'm not running again anyway. Chief George, what does the police have for us today?
Mayor, we have a great plan. We arrest everyone who is caught not eating chocolate for dessert in our restaurants. We can get the slack of chocolate problem cleaned up very quickly. I've been greasing up my cuffs for this. There's one problem. What do we do with all the individuals we arrest?
Send them to Rochester Hills and Oakland Township.
Send them to the hills in Oakland Township? I don't know. You know what? That is a great idea. It's settled. Yeah. Staff, you guys have done a great job today. I am sure we're going to win the award for Chocolate City of the World. Jeremy, what do you have to say?
Mayor, I do have to admit something. My name is Jeremy Willy Wonka, and you guys had a great plan, and you will win the award for the Chocolate City of the World. Congratulations.
All right, thank you. Chocolate, 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 chocolate. Okay, Rochester,
Clerk Maybury, what's that?
It's the Wonka bar I just bought for myself this morning.
Give it to me. I found a golden ticket. Oh, it's to visit Mr. Wonka's house in Oakland Township. Well, it is the best place to live.
Maybe you can give it to Mayor Bixson or Mayor Barnett so they can see what it's like to live in Oakland Township.
I could, but I still won. And it is the best place to live.
Oh my gosh, Grandpa's, I got it, I've got a golden ticket. I found the golden ticket, look.
Oh, Charlie, this is fantastic. This is great news.
Oh, Charlie, that's wonderful. And it says you get to bring one person with you.
Oh, Charlie, this is the bee's knees. But Charlie, this is for today. This is right now.
Grandpa Joe, would you come to the community outlet breakfast with me?
I haven't been out of this bed in 20 years, Charlie.
Grandpa Joe, it's a really good breakfast.
Good breakfast, you say? Well, let's go.
Oh, let's do it, Grandpa Joe. Come on, we can do it. Yeah. I've got a golden ticket.
Oompa loompa doompa dee doo. I've got a perfect chamber for you. Oompa loompa doompa dee dee. Led by the amazing Maggie. Oompa loompa doompa dee da. We hope you enjoyed our take on Wonka. Now sit back and hear from who's who. Like the Oompa loompa doompa dee doo.
I just wanted to thank everyone who not only participated in that video, but also the team from the Rochester Hills TV department. They do such an amazing job and put so much effort into this every year, and I just want to say thank you to everyone. So we would like to remind you, if you have a question that you would like to ask one of the panelists, please fill out a note card that you will find in the middle of your table. The volunteers will be volunteers will be by later to pick them up. And at this time, I would like to introduce to you some of the most important people at the chamber, my staff. I'm a firm believer that no one is an island, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the work of my team. So as I call your name, if you would please stand and hold your applause to the end. Michelle Eberly, our marketing director. Nicole Condon, our new membership engagement director. Jennifer Westfall, the newest addition to our team as our events director. Caitlin Bobbitz, our intern, and Patrick Mulrennan, our accountant. Without them, this event and the chamber would not be where it is today. So please give them a large round of applause. And now to introduce our moderator for today, Dave Dulio. Dave is a distinguished professor of political science and the director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University. He has published 13 books and wrote dozens of articles. He's also a former American Political Science Congressional Fellow, say that 10 times fast, on Capitol Hill, where he worked in the U.S. House of Representatives. Please welcome Dave Dulio.
Thanks, Maggie. Good morning. Well, wow. I'm sure glad that Hollywood writers' strike is over, right? Don't forget the cards at your table for questions. We will take those. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the panelists for this morning. First, Robin Bucksor, Oakland Township Supervisor. Maggie, you got to print this bigger or I need my glasses. Robin has served on the Oakland Township Board of Trustees since 2013, first as a trustee, then clerk, now as Township Supervisor and Interim Township Manager. She is a member of the OPC Governing Board, come on up, Robin, and the Paint Creek Trail Commission. Robin serves as the chair of the Elections Commission and is a current member of the Oakland Township Historical Society. As a lifelong resident of Oakland Township, the best place to live, Robin graduated from Rochester Adams High School and holds industrial engineering and business management degrees. She is currently a program manager in the Advanced Manufacturing Engineering Group for Grammar Americas. Next, Mayor of the City of Rochester, Stuart Bickson. Stuart is a graduate of the University of Michigan with a degree in economics. He has an MBA from the University of Wisconsin and a master's in teaching from Oakland University. Go Grizzlies. He is currently an economics and government teacher at Waterford Mott High School. Stuart, come on up, Stuart. Stuart has served on the Rochester City Council since 1999 and is serving his 9th year as mayor of Rochester. He is the past chairman of the board for both RARA and the OPC. Stuart lives in Rochester with his wife, Maria. Welcome. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Brian K. Barnett. He has served as Rochester Hills mayor since 2006 and is the longest serving mayor in the history of the city. After his re-election in November 2023, he holds the distinction of being the only strong mayor in the United States history to win 3 consecutive write-in campaigns. During his tenure, Rochester Hills has been organized as one of the top places to live in America and has held the title Safest City in Michigan for the past 7 years. In 2019, Mayor Barnett was selected to serve as the 77th President of the United States Conference of Mayors, making him just the 6th mayor from Michigan to be president of the conference since its inception in 1932. Mayor Barnett is a frequent national speaker on topics including innovative government, long-term sustainability, and economic development, and has represented Rochester Hills and Southeast Michigan on multiple international delegations. Mayor Barnett's vision for Rochester Hills is to be the preeminent place in America to live, work, and raise a family. Welcome for our distinguished panel. Can't have my back to the mayor now, can I? Okay, let's get into it. But again, before they start talking, If you got a question, write it down, and we'll take as many of them as we can toward the end. So with that in mind, because we want to have audience participation, I'm going to ask our panelists to keep their answers brief. I know that's a tough ask with this crowd, but we'll give it a try. First off, let's take a minute and have each of you, and we'll start at my far left, and have each of you summarize the 2 or 3 most important developments in your community in 2023. So just take us back a year and tell us what the most important things to happen in your communities.
Well, good morning, everyone. So for Oakland Township, probably the 2 largest things or developments we've had happen are the opening or ribbon cutting, if you will, of our Fox Nature Preserve, which is adding to our open space. We have approximately, give or take, 1,600 acres of open space and parkland in Oakland Township, and we're very proud of that. So for us, we're already there. So we have tons of space. We love the natural beauty. Aside from that, another thing from 23 probably would just be our investments that we have been doing to try to make our residents, I guess, we went on a tax holiday for the governing township millage. So we zeroed that out last year. So this year, no one is paying the operating millage because we've been very fiscally responsible at the Board of Trustees level, and we thought we would give our residents a break on their tax bills through the operating millage. So that's about the 2 biggest things.
Great, thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Well, I think the big issue in our town recently was the marijuana issue. And I know we're going to talk about that later, but the number I like to use is 87%. 87% of the people said, we do not want dispensaries in our town. And yeah, thank you. I've never seen our city come together as one. I'm still looking for somebody who was for it. I've never met a person. People were excited to go out and vote, and we just did a great job. You know, we did not want the traffic, we did not want the crime, but what Rochester really wanted was we wanted to decide our own future, and we did. And we believe in local control, and so that was a big issue, and I think that was a great victory for the city of Rochester. The second thing is our development. Our town is booming, like our area. We have a lot of development coming in, and it's, so much we almost don't know what to do with it. And we want growth, but we want to be responsible about it. So those are 2 of the big events of the year.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, in Rochester Hills, I mean, as Mayor Bixson said, there's certainly a tremendous amount of interest in our region, and you know that if you're involved, if you're a realtor here, if you're a business owner, property values are as high as they've ever been. We don't always get to control the private sector development, so I'm going to twist your question, Dave, to talk about the development that we can control, and that's the stuff that the city's been a part of. And 2 things, I talked about them in the press conference. One is the city was wildly successful in achieving a historic budget allocation last year of $75 million to clean up dirty places in the city. A lot of contaminated spots. If there's a spot in the city that's over 3 or 4 acres that isn't been developed or hasn't been developed, it's largely because it's a contaminated piece of property. And so we received $75 million to turn sort of these contaminated places into livable spaces, landfills into livable land. And so we've begun that. The council will see its first project next week, and that's a big, huge thing for the city. It was the largest single allocation in the state of Michigan's budget for a community. The second part of the development part that I love is the investment in our parks. How many of you have been to Innovation Hills, by the way? By round of applause, is it cool? And you're not even a cool crowd. Cool crowds are like 5 to 8-year-olds. They get a lot more excited about it. We have announced even in the press conference this morning kind of a doubling down of the investments in our park system. So the cool future developments you see in the city are going to be around redevelopments of new developments of Brooklyn Plaza, hopefully Nowicki Park, Bloomer Park, and Spencer Park. We are going to make Rochester Hills the coolest place to play anywhere in America, and we're not going to stop till we get there. That's what I'm excited about.
Thank you, Mayor Barnett. let's shift focus and talk about the topic of demographics, and in particular, changing demographics. And demographics are destiny is a phrase that many have used over the years to describe how new realities, whether they be economic, political, cultural, or whatever, will shape communities as populations change. And we've seen demographic change in Southeast Michigan for many years, especially in Oakland County. For instance, we know that the county is getting more diverse by race and ethnicity, with Asian Americans by percentage showing a 50% increase in population between the 2010 and 2020 censuses, but the African American population growing by 4% and the white population decreasing by nearly 4%. Of course, these changes vary by community. So, starting with Mayor Barnett, what does demographics are destiny mean for your community today?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm familiar with how our community has changed over the years. Look, going back to 1990, when our city was about 92% white. Currently, it's about 75%. Some interesting things you might find unique about the city of Rochester Hills. And I love talking about diversity because I think our city has a really good story, and you might not think about it initially. But we have in Rochester Hills the third largest Asian population by number in the state of Michigan. That population is our largest minority population, about 13% of our overall city population. And when I think about diversity, number one, I think about it in a lot of different ways, right? And it reveals itself in a lot of different ways. This week, I'm thinking about it from religious diversity. You can drive down 1 mile section of Rochester Hills and pass one of the largest temples in Southeast Michigan, the largest Albanian Catholic church in the world outside of Albania, and in 48 hours, we're opening the largest mosque in America. Now, if you sat here as a Rochester Hills resident and thought that the largest mosque in America would be in Rochester Hills, I don't think too many hands would go up thinking that's the case. That's the case in a 1 mile stretch of our city. And the way the city reacts to that, Dave, I think is important. I think I've told this group before. We have to be a welcoming community, meaning, for example, when you're getting information about our city with one click on our city website, everything changes into 70 different languages. So you can learn about your city, what's happening in your community in your native tongue. That makes you feel a lot more comfortable about where you live. And it's how we communicate, it's how we showcase who we are. Diversity has a lot of different things. I've talked about Innovation Hills already. Even the way we design that park, a diversity of how people enjoy recreation, right? We have worked with the autism community to make sure the park was fenced. Turns out that's a really big thing. We added cocoons in different parts of the park for folks that engage in recreation differently. They like quiet and solace. Not everyone likes to run up and down that slide, like you saw in the video. All those things, the way you handle everything from the way you recognize people in coming to the community on a website to the way you help them enjoy recreation are important. Our community is changing, and we want to be in front of it.
Thanks. Mayor Bixson.
That's quite an answer there.
He had a mouthful.
I like to joke that the diversity I'd like to see is more University of Michigan grads moving into our town. I think our city is an open place for everybody who wants to come here, and I think what we need to do as a community is to provide opportunity for everybody. And our average, when I was looking at the demographics, our average age is 39. And I think people might have thought, maybe it's a little older than that. But it's not, and what we need to do is provide services and stuff for kids, for adults, for seniors. So let's look at for kids. We had Dr. Silveri, we have a great school district that we support. We have RARA that we support. We have all kinds of activities in our downtown, in our parks and things, in our DDA that supports kids and kids' activity. So we have kids stuff for every person who wants that. Also, we have things for adult entertainments. Not adult entertainments, but adult activities.
I'm so anxious to hear about this.
I knew that was coming.
Raise your hand if you're ready to move.
But we have our downtown, we have restaurants, we have stores, we have activities, we have parks, we have recreation, we have concerts in the park. So we have all kinds of things. And then, of course, we have things for seniors. We have the OPC, which is a preeminent organization in the country that really takes care of our seniors, and there's all kinds of activities. My father lives in a senior place in town that's really nice, and there's activities. So I believe that we are a welcoming community to anybody who wants to come, and we have things that people want to do for all of those groups of people. And that's how I think that we kind of work on our diversity is we're open for people want to move here, and that's what we're focused on.
Great, thanks.
Okay, lastly me. Well, lucky for us, we benefit from everything that's just been said by Mayor Stewart and Mayor Barnett. So with all the services and parks and downtown enjoyment and everything, we welcome anyone in to come live in our bedroom community. So we are a open door. We take whomever. We just say you have to be a little maybe crazy and have your attorney on speed dial. But we welcome all. So come on in. But as far as diversity, I think we are a diverse and welcoming community. We accept anybody willing, obviously, to come on out and enjoy what we have, which is our bedroom life and our rural feel. So we benefit from using all of the wonderful things and activities that are going on in our neighboring and sister communities. Innovation Park is a great thing. I would vote for Nowicki, the dog park, and I'm sure all of our township residents would love that too, because it's very close. And the downtown feel of Rochester, and we too also have the EC, great community schools. But overall, anyone is welcome in Oakland Township at any time.
If I can ask a follow-up there, Mayor Bixson, you said the average age in Rochester is 39?
Mm-hmm.
That is, I wouldn't have expected that, I'll be honest with you, right? Because we hear that Michigan is getting older, right? So I wonder if any of you, are, first, Mayor Barnett, do you have do we have similar stats in Rochester Hills and Oakland Township? I'm not to put you on the spot, but I'm just curious.
Our average age is 41, so a little bit.
And ours is about 42.
Okay.
You guys look it too.
We're
Thank you.
We're a lot younger than you guys, actually.
For reference, you might find it interesting, friends of the mayor of Dearborn, Dearborn's average age, I think, is 26.
Wow.
Just a very different perspective on how you run a community and what services you need.
Well, that's my question. I was also going to make a joke that where are all the old people then, if all these towns got this young age? But are there specific challenges or opportunities that come along with an average age that is significantly lower than the state?
Well, I think you have to provide activities for all those different people. I mean, if you're just having an older thing, you're probably not as interested in having a great education system. But obviously, as the vote the other day, we support our schools because we have kids that are that age. I also believe in supporting the school. I'm a teacher, but also because it's good for property values as well. So, I mean, you have different priorities, but yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know Rochester was as young as they are.
I'm a lifelong learner. I'm learning stuff every day.
Yeah, and I think, you obviously look at that, and actually, our communities would be considered, in some respects, a little bit older. And I think that you look to see what you're good at, and we always want to be the best Rochester Hills we can be. We're not going to try to out Royal Oak, or out Dearborn. What our community is good at is providing a safe community, largely for families to experience two great school districts and great opportunities at growing families, largely is who we are. And so that's kind of our niche where we are, and we try to be really good at that and not try to get out of that lane and be a lot of things that other cities are better at than we are.
Great. Anything to add?
I would just concur, and as you can see, even the older folks like to go down slides and run through parks.
All right, it's on, Robin. Here we go.
Nice.
Let's go back to the two biggest developments in Oakland Township again.
All right, so you are on a college campus. You are at Oakland University, the university of choice. So I'm going to give you a little political science lesson. The United States, as many of you probably know, has a federalist system where the federal government has authority in the policy areas that it controls, and the state government has authority in its policy areas. How we tell those apart is an entirely different question. Local governments also have a significant portion significant responsibility in this equation. So how does your municipality work with the different levels of government, federal, state, county, et cetera? We'll start in the middle with Mayor Bixson this time.
Well, I mean, I think we work very well with all the different parts of the government. For example, if you were at the press conference this morning, we got a grant from Congressperson Slotkin when she was our representative. We have $1 million. So we have a good relationship with her. We're working with the Congressman James, who is our representative now. So that's a great partnership. We work very closely with the state, Senator Weber, State Representative Tisdale. I mean, I've served with them on the OPC board, so we have very good relationships with them, very good relationships with the county, and really, which I think we're all very grateful, good relationships with the Rochester Hills and Oakland Township. So we have, you know, our fire departments work together, our police departments work together, so we're really all in this together, and I think working with all people, whether they're Republican or Democrat, I think is essential for all of us. We want to do what's best for our city, and I think working together is really the only way to do that.
Great. Supervisor Bucksworth.
Well, we do a lot of kind of resource or asset building, if you will, with the county itself, because as a township, which has some different things than the cities would have, for example, our roads, our assessing, our water, sewer, we contract with the county for all of those type of services, also police, which Rochester Hills also does. So we work with the county with regard to those things, which helps us not to have to add additional staffing, et cetera, within the township to try to keep our costs down. As far as state and federal, we too work with our senators and Congress, Congresswoman McClain. But anyway, we try to use what we can. If there's any grants that are available to us, we will try to do that. We have a little more difficulty getting some of them, but in that we do also work with our fellow cities and our other townships that surround us with mutual aid agreements. Matter of fact, I'll have some conversations with Mayor Barnett later. Hopefully we can work out some things, because we also have shared roads and other entities that we need to contribute and work collectively for.
Mayor Barnett.
I always tell my kids, one of them who's a student here at Oakland, it's all about relationships. Everything in life, to me, at least in my experience, has been about relationships, both good and bad, and you learn from each of them. And I think that's true, and that's, I think, to the core of your question. You know, it's incumbent upon me, despite whatever political preferences I may have, I represent a huge community, almost 80,000 people, with a wide variety of political opinions. And so I want to work with whoever can advance my city. And I've been fortunate to have really good national relationships, partly because of my role as heavily involved in the U.S. Conference of Mayors, both under President Trump and President Biden. I've probably been invited by each of them to the White House probably a dozen times each. I have 4 cabinet members, I was thinking about this today, 4 cabinet members on my cell phone that I could text or call. And those relationships are important. Because when you need something, it's nice to be able to have had a relationship. The same is true at the state level, as Mayor Bixson said. We're really fortunate, specifically in Rochester Hills, that our state senator and our state rep, Mark Tisdale and Mike Weber, are graduates of our Rochester Hills City Council. That's fantastically important when you're asking for a historic amount of money for a city, right? To get $75 million, it's really helpful to have people that know your community and know it well. And you also have to have relationships on both sides of the aisle. And I really am proud of that and stress that. And the last thing I would say, my happy place is my colleagues of mayors. And it's across the country, and it's working with them. I have stolen some great ideas from tremendous Democratic leaders and tremendous Republican leaders and tried to implement them here in the city. And there's a wonderful network of support. So when you're looking to do something unique or something new, there's usually somebody else who's done it. And sometimes it's just support. In the last month, unfortunately, I've texted the mayor of Kansas City, a great friend of mine, after the shooting. The mayor of Burnsville, Elizabeth Couch, is a great friend, after their shooting. Just letting them know I'm thinking about them, praying for them, supporting them, and they do the same for me. And so it's all about relationships. You have to have them if you're going to be successful in our positions at every level and with every political partisan person around.
So it sounds like pragmatism is important and working in a pragmatic way with others. But are there issues that in this state, local, federal, local, county, local relationship that are more challenging, or that are where there may be some that are easier to work on?
Yeah, I would say, listen, I pride myself on trying to work both sides of the aisle equally as aggressively for my city, and we've done, I think, pretty well. It is hard in a presidential year because things lock up. When Republicans are in control, they don't want to give wins to the Democrats, and Democrats are in control, they don't want to give wins to the Republicans. Both sides do it equally. It gets much harder this year, which is why we went for a lot of things last year, because of presidential politics, and you all know what you're about to get over the next 7 months in your emails, in your text messages, and in the mail. So there are some realities of partisan politics that play. I think local level of government is the best out there because it is closest to the people, and it is devoid mostly of partisan politics in large measure. We want to work to get things done, but there are realities that we have to work with in Washington and Lansing, and they tend to get a little bit frosty in a political year.
Yeah, I would just like to say on our city council, there's Republicans and Democrats, but those issues that you hear about in Washington, those aren't really into our day-to-day activities. We're trying to fix roads, we're trying to have development. We're not really talking about abortion and things like that are so hot buttons. So that helps. I think the one thing is, as I said earlier, we believe in local control. We think local government is the best, so we don't really want a lot of these unfunded mandates coming down and telling us we have to do this and we have to spend that money. We like to think we can do it just as well. So there's some tension there.
I would agree with that. We also like local control and watching what we have, and I do find it's easiest to work with our fellow local representatives than it is to maybe go to state or federal level, because we do have working relationships. We joke, we kid, we have fun, but I don't think we've ever really discussed, well, what are our politics and what are, where are we? So, and I also get the benefit of working with all the townships and township supervisors. So I unfortunately get to the fraudulent ticket finder. Orion, we do a lot with Orion and Addison, Oxford, and there's some great people in charge of those communities also. So I get the added benefit of both sides on the local view, and I would tend to stay in that genre.
Great, thank you. So as Mayor Barnett said, it's an election year, if you haven't noticed. And this year is going to bring incredible change for our local clerks in terms of election administration, with one of the biggest being early voting. We just had this presidential primary that was the first iteration of the mandate from a ballot initiative a couple years ago to institute 9 days of early voting. What has your community done to respond to this change in the law? And what are the biggest possible issues in dealing with it from your perspective? Mayor Barnett.
Let me start by asking Leanne Scott and Sheila Brown to stand up, our clerk and our deputy clerk. Will you two please stand up? Will you give them a massive round of applause? Leanne was Michigan's Clerk of the Year last year, and as far as I'm concerned, she'll keep the title for as long as she wants it, although someone will probably try and wrestle it away. Massive changes to elections, too many to even really talk about in a short answer. I would tell you some snippet facts. In the election on Tuesday, we had 33% of our population vote. That was the lowest percent of the last probably 3 or 4 presidential primaries, which I did an interview with USA Today yesterday. I think maybe the undercurrent of the presidential election, which is a lack of enthusiasm on both the Republican ticket and the Democratic ticket. We'll see. But how it plays out locally is this was the first year at last year. By the way, I thought last year was the big election, but that's just me. So many changes that were implemented. The first and probably the biggest was finding a place to hold 9 days of early voting. And we want to thank our friends at the Rochester Hills Public Library, Julianne Moran and the library board, and a great partnership with Oakland Township, a very, very unique partnership in order to have a place that people could vote 9 days early. Precincts were bigger. We had to put 4 boxes and put cameras and cement pads all over the city. Lots of expense. Just think about it. Every day for 30 or 40 days before an election, we had to send 2 people in a vehicle to all 4 spots that are under camera 24/7 to pick up ballots, to take them back to a super secure location in the city with a ton more cameras and gates, 9 days of early voting, lots of new changes. Ideally, I think driven, to allow more people to vote. In this last election, you might find this curious, of those 33% that voted, 1/3 voted on election day. Almost 2/3 voted absentee, and only about 5% voted on the early day election opportunity. Now, I suspect that number will grow. For reference, 33% voted. In a typical presidential election, we'll have about 76 to 78% of our population vote. But the clerks, both in our city, and I'm partial, but I'm sure in Oakland Township and in Rochester as well, have had a tremendous sea change in their job. And, no one... People aren't especially understanding and patient, because political, fever is hot and intense. They do a tremendous job dealing with massive changes. Some of them are funded, some of them aren't. Prepaid postages on everything now, a permanent absentee voter list. Almost everything that you knew about voting 10 years ago is different, and some of you who haven't voted in the last election will experience it in this next election.
Mayor Bixson. Yeah, I think fair and free elections are, of course, what everybody wants and what we want in Rochester. We did the same thing. We had early voting, but we handled it in our own way, in our own facility. And our clerk, Leanne O'Connor, did a great job on that. So, we look at that going forward. Absentee voting, of course, has become huge. Ours is probably 2/3. That's just a trend that is going on. I always used to go vote. Now I vote absentee because it's so easy. And that's really the trend that's going. It's going to be absentee. It's going to be early voting. We're making it easier to vote, which I'm good with. But yeah, there's a big election coming up, and it's going to be tense and things. But we in the city of Rochester are going to guarantee that people can have free and honest and fair elections. And our clerk and our city council is behind that 100%.
Supervisor Bucksor.
Well, we did conjoin with the City of Rochester Hills, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our clerk, Dave Mabry, who's present today, and our election specialist, Sarah Black, who's also present today, for the outstanding jobs they did. Thank Leanne for helping immensely also. She was a great help to our staff. But we did increase our staff number. We too had to add cameras, drop boxes, trying to secure everything down. We saw the same type of turnout, and less actually went to the early voting, if you will. A lot more went to absentee, and we had a light turnout for election day. But we basically appreciate everything that was done in the Rochester Hills Library for allowing us to do that.
Did you all get any, as communities, any help from the state on this, or was this just an unfunded mandate?
The federal government paid for some, of the state government pays for some. I mean, not everything. Harder than paying for it is sometimes just finding a spot, right? I mean, because think about everything I just said. Potentially, we have to do 4 times this year. We just did it for the election this week. Thankfully, we thought Avondale Schools was going to go for something in May, but we have a primary in August and a general in November. So all those things we talked about, marking 30 days in advance for absentees and driving around, and 9 days in advance, and you have to be open, and people have issues with some of the places. It's really hard. If we didn't have the library, I don't know what we'd do. I really don't know, because our city hall just isn't, we can't function and have that kind of closed capacity to manage the separate spaces and all the things you have to do. So I think it's going to be really hard for other communities around Michigan, not only the cost, but I think it's going to be trying to find a place that you can, schools aren't going to let you come in 9 days and mingle with the kids and cast a vote, right? That's not how that works, right? So it really is difficult. Some people don't like going, some of the churches feel the same way. So that's the harder part, is finding out how you're going to manage this. And thankfully, we have the library. But there are a lot of communities that don't, and I feel for them.
Anything to add?
No.
Well, I think it is an unfunded mandate, and that's where we have problems with. But again, elections to me are so important that we have to do what we have to do to make sure that they're done right.
Sure. Just as a bit of a shameless self-promotion. The Center for Civic Engagement here at Oakland University just got about a $100,000 federal grant to help local communities recruit and train college students to be poll workers, because that's another element of this, right? So we've already had conversations with the clerk's office in Rochester Hills and are looking forward to working with them. But if your communities and your clerks would be interested in having some OU students be poll workers in August and November, we'd love to do it. Okay, so how about security? That's been a topic around elections for several years now. Without relitigating any past controversies, what does your community do in terms of security measures so that residents can have confidence in the process and the outcome in their community?
I mean, it's as secure a process as I've ever seen. From the fact that we have to have two people, everything is under camera, everything, we've got added all sorts of cameras, everything's under lock and key. If you come to our clerk's department, it's the only thing that a gate shuts down in at night. There's understandably concern about making sure this process is pure. It's a really vulnerable process, both electronically and physically. And I can only assure you that every single time we can choose the more secure option between one or two choices, we always choose the more secure. So in terms of the level of checks from a person standpoint who's involved, the vault is probably the most secure place between here and Fort Knox in the city of Rochester Hills. We really do a good job, and I can say with absolute assurity that elections in the city of Rochester Hills are a fair and secure process, and the team there and the team that isn't here work really hard to make sure that's 100% true. And if you had a chance to see it, you'd understand what I'm talking about. It is intense. I'm not even allowed in the clerk's office. Well, now I'm thinking about that. You just made that rule up, probably. I'm not sure if that's actually a rule.
True
but,
rule.
I mean, they keep, and I see other departments going, "You can do that. We can keep." It really is a lockdown process from beginning to end.
Great, thanks.
I think I walked into the clerk's office the other day. I don't know if that. No, it's the same thing. I mean, just everything we can do for security is being done electronically. Everything, cameras, our lock boxes. There's just nothing, that we don't want done. And really, security when it comes to everything in the city government, with our, computer systems and everything like that. That's something that we continue to look at. We continue to analyze. Our finance staff, our city clerk, we're looking at all that because, cities are like any business, are vulnerable to attack, and we are working as much as we can. And again, elections are such a key part of our democracy and our system that we are 100% support that.
Well, for Oakland Township, I can also assure that we had a very safe and secure election. So not only do our placement of our drop boxes are located, one at a fire station, one right at Township Hall by the police station, which are both manned 24 hours a day. We also have multiple cameras. You basically can't move without being seen somewhere in Oakland Township, either by somebody's home camera or our cameras. You're going to be seen. So we have that. We also do lock everything. We have also the slide down windows of our IT is under security and risk checks. We've outsourced that to make sure that we're compliant and safe in that. But everything within, you wouldn't even know where we hide our stuff. That's how good we are. We hide it. So it's very safe. I can assure we had a very safe, secure, and fair election in Oakland Township, as we did 2 years ago, and we will continue to do the remainder of this year.
Great, thank you. Do we have any audience questions on the cards? Do we? Okay, well then, lightning round. Lightning round.
Meg, you got a lunch date or something?
Brian, 2 words or under.
He said that. I didn't.
So. Last November, you mentioned this, Mr. Mayor, the charter change ballot initiative on marijuana was on the ballot and it got crushed. You can't get 87% of Americans to agree on just about anything today. Do you think this is the end of that pursuit of that goal by the folks that were behind it, or are they going to revisit it? Do you think it's going to come back?
I think it should be the end, but I believe there's so much money in that it will come back. I mean, there's people already talking about it coming back. Now, it could be just talk, but you know, to me, 87% says it's never going to pass. Yeah. But there's so much money, and you know, when we got involved in finding out about it, there's so much money that people are just going to keep trying and trying. And the other issue with Rochester is, since we're a smaller community, it's easier to get the signatures in our community to get on the ballot. And so, you know, we can't stop that. So, yeah, I don't think it should. I think if you were going to pick, they had, what, 8 around the state of Michigan. All 8 failed pretty strongly, but ours was the best. So we don't think they're coming back. I don't think they should come back if they were smart. But who knows?
Great. Mayor Barnett, you mentioned in the press conference the new master plan and that process going forward. How can the businesses in this area have a voice in this new master plan process?
Yeah. No, that's huge for us because of all the successes that we've had and experience we've chatted about. It's important to have a vision where you want to go, and it's important that vision is driven by the people that care about the community. At your seats where you're at, there's a chance to participate in a QR code that will take you to it. We have a wonderfully in-depth process. We had, last time we did this, went to every 4th grader and had kids color what they want their community to look like, to going to the OPC, to going to businesses, to just really trying to get an in-depth look at what people vision for our community, and then trying to execute that. That becomes my and the city council's job. So grab at your place there the QR code and snap it. By the way, at your place you see a candy bar. If you open it up, there's golden tickets, and we have prizes for you if you win a golden ticket. So if you raise your hand if you get a golden ticket, you're going to get 2 free passes to the adult entertainment in the city of Rochester. So if you have a golden ticket, raise it up, because we've got people in the back with prizes.
And Supervisor Bucksor, let's end this where we started. A nice couple bookends, right? So we started asking you about looking back to 2023. Let's look ahead to 2020, the rest of 2024. What are your top priorities in Oakland Township?
Well, I think everybody's got to look for their ticket.
I know.
Did anybody win? Raise your hand.
Yeah, Dave Llewellyn won. That's such crap. We're not giving you a prize.
Fixed. It's fixed. Top priorities in Oakland Township.
2024, we'll move ahead with most of our infrastructure type projects. We always increase our spending for our roads. In case anyone knows, Oakland County does own our road, maintains and operates all of our roads. However, Oakland Township contributes usually anywhere between $300,000 to $500,000, so $250,000 to $500,000 in additional monies that we put forward to them, because we do note that there is a necessity to have good roads and good infrastructure. So we do look forward to that. And then we also have signed a letter of intent with the Road Commission. So it was 8 years out at the time. It's probably 2028, but we'll be looking at Gallagher Road to be paved in 2028. But that does come at a cost of about $4.7 million per mile. So that's the going rate as of 2023, 2024, it's probably higher. But so they're costly endeavors. So we get to do about a mile or 2 at a time.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for our panelists. And again, thanks to our panelists, our sponsors, and all of you for attending. On behalf of the Rochester Regional Chamber of Commerce, we appreciate your continued support for this event and others in the area, and we look forward to seeing you back at the Community Outlook Breakfast in 2025. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the sunshine.